We say we care about children and we care about the most vulnerable among us, but anytime there's an opportunity to help them or provide legislation for them, it's like a back and forth on doing what's right and, just being humane. There's no reason why, prisoners are guaranteed 3 meals a day, but you can't guarantee a kid going to school one at least. So.
This is A Silent War Within, the podcast dedicated to confronting the unseen mental health battles carried by our first responder and healthcare heroes. This show is about real stories, real struggles, and real ways to survive the storm and come out stronger on the other side. For too long, stigma has kept you silent, but this is your space to bravely break that silence, share vital insights, and build a community where your well-being truly comes first, because your service deserves unwavering support.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of A Silent War Within. We have Kevin Witzel here, our host. I'm co-hosting today / hosting. And then we have a very special guest, Bernard Taylor.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
So Bernard is a viral content creator. He's got over 1 million subscribers and followers on all his accounts. Bernard, you're running for Congress.
Yeah.
So, Bernard. Bernard, tell us all about how you got started doing content creation, family life, and then how that kind of escalated into doing Congress.
And tell us about the fire service, too. We want to hear about all your public service as well.
Absolutely. So, just a little bit about me. So, growing up, I just really had no direction. Went to college, obviously, tried to, live those college football, NFL dreams, and ended up tearing my meniscus when I was about 20, 21 years old. And ever since that accident happened, I kind of lost my love for playing the game and just looking at, evaluation. And I'm a very pragmatic person. And I'm just like, the odds of coming back from this knee injury and then trying to go pro and all these different things, extremely, extremely unlikely, as much as I wanted to believe it could be happening. So I had to, try to make some life decisions. At that time, at that age in my life, I was already a father. So I really had to, step up and make my children my priorities and figure out how I was going to provide for them. So I spent the majority of my 20s, man, just bouncing around from all different type of odd jobs. I'm talking about construction, landscaping, any restaurant you could think of. I probably worked at it, hotel work, like literally just, I've worked in every industry in America. And it wasn't until I actually started working for a chiropractor that I ran into a lot of firefighters. And they would always come in to get adjusted and get their bodies back right, because you guys know the toll it takes, especially in this career. And they would always, encourage me and like jab at me. Like, you should do it. You should do it. And I remember the first time somebody told me, I was like, you're crazy if you think I'm finna just go run in a burning building. Like, it's plenty of things to do besides run into a burning building. But after talking with them for about a year and always having a passion for healthcare and not realizing that you could be a firefighter and an EMT or paramedic, so it does have a healthcare background as well, I started to look into it, started to do my research, started to see if it was something that I could actually do. And by the time I turned 29, I signed up for EMT school in the fire academy, and the rest was history, man. I fell in love with the career. I fell in love with the job. I felt like it was something that I was meant to do on this earth. Being a public servant and serving the community and being there for people in their, come on, Ace, being there for people in their times of need. And I love it, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. Now, to spin off to how I got into content creation, it was actually, kind of just thinking about the like the podcast says, that silent war within, the things that affect us that, we don't talk about, that we don't like to talk about, because it can be perceived weakness, or we're protecting our family from some of the things that we see and experience. And I figured I had to figure out a way to, deal with those things that I was going to eventually see. Some of the tragedies and different people's situations that you come across, that you can only, take people to the hospital. You can't really help besides that. So I said, I got to find a way to channel this. I got to find a way to make sure my mental health is staying the same and staying on point. So I just started making fun of it, man. I started making jokes, and I started posting videos about some of the things that we dealing with a comedic spin. And And I didn't realize there was such an audience among our own community of first responders and healthcare providers who just needed a laugh every now and again. And that was back in about 2020. And here we are 5, almost 6 years later, and people still enjoying the content. People still, appreciating what I'm doing and appreciate the message. I can't go a week without not posting for somebody says, "Hey man, what's going on?" Well, why you haven't posted in a week? I'm like, cause I got a family, man. Jeez.
Them
But
24-hour shifts, dog.
exactly, man. So that's kind of how it all took off, man. It all blew up from there. And the best thing about what I've done with this content game is I've opened up the eyes of this career to a lot of young people. I'm personally responsible for 21 young people coming into the field and getting careers and starting their jobs in the fire service. So that's probably the achievement I'm most proud of is being able to shed light on an avenue that not a lot of people really consider that can actually help them, like it helped me get out of poverty and get into that next level in life. And that is huge. That is huge for someone, again, who comes from pretty much nothing to be where I am today is very I'm very grateful. I'm very humble.
Very cool.
So, yeah, so Bernard, a lot of people just don't realize healthcare's funny. And a lot of people
Yes.
they're like, "Oh, there's always going to be like a Karen, like, oh, you shouldn't laugh at that." Like
Yeah,
I saw you
absolutely.
reposted like the 600-pound AI lady getting taken out of the house. People don't realize that's true. You have to cut
Yeah,
door frames out to get people
Yeah,
out. Like
that's
sometimes
true.
it's funny. And
yeah,
if you don't
bro.
laugh, you'll cry sometimes. You're like, we're out here for 4 hours cutting a door frame, getting this 400-pound patient out. It's funny.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like
So tell
we try to
us,
put some real world perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's AI, but no, I've done this before. It might not have been
it's
Mm-hmm.
to that
true.
level, but this is what we have to do. So
Mm-hmm.
We weren't
again,
lucky enough to have the crane, but it's true.
exactly, exactly. That's
But
why you got to call for
so,
extra resources.
And
yeah.
that's why he met a lot of firefighters at the chiropractor's office.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So tell us about how all of this, how your life kind of pushed you into running for Congress.
The exposure to the community and seeing the effects of legislation and policy and the things that people weren't doing and the people that get forgotten, unfortunately, because they aren't in that top, 1, 5, 10% of the country. The people who we run these calls on, living, paycheck to paycheck, can't afford health insurance because they just can't. They're, like I say, living paycheck to paycheck, and we know where do they go when they can't afford health insurance. They can't have a primary doctor for preventative care. They have to go to the emergency room. So now the emergency room becomes your preventative care primary care doctor, and that's a strain on the EMS system. That's a strain on the emergency room system. That's a strain on the hospital in general. So things like that, when in terms of healthcare, in terms of going into these homes and seeing how some of these people are living in these dilapidated homes, these homes that I don't wish upon anybody, and the children that have to grow up that don't have a choice of who their parents are, they don't have a choice of the situation that they were born into. Because I'm pretty sure if we all had a choice, I don't think none of us would be choosing to be born into poverty, but it happens, and the fact that we can't do things for those children that didn't choose to be in those situations. Like I hate hearing anytime there's an argument about making sure kids are fed in school. Like, why is that an argument? Like, that is crazy to me. We say we care about children and we care about the most vulnerable among us, but anytime there's an opportunity to help them or provide legislation for them, it's like a back and forth on doing what's right and just being humane. There's no reason why prisoners are guaranteed 3 meals a day, but you can't guarantee a kid going to school one at least. Just
Mm-hmm.
things like that that I've noticed, that I've seen, that you that there can be change and there isn't change because people don't want it to change, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this Congress thing, was this just something you always kind of had aspirations of, or was it the exposure that kind of led you into this and said, "Hey, I can make a difference"?
Bro, the last thing political I ran for was class president in high school, and I won that. So that was the last thing I done political in my life, man. I didn't have any aspirations for none of this, man. To be truthfully honest with you guys, I'm introverted at heart. I would love to just sit in my shell, come home and play on the Xbox all day and not be bothered by the outside world. But it comes a point in time where you're just seeing way too many things going on and not enough people stepping up and being the leaders that we deserve. No, my dad always says, stop complaining and take action. If you want to see some change, if you want things to change, then be the change that you want to see. So I looked into it. I looked into the qualifications for running for a House seat. I looked to see what it would take. And then, like you say, already learning and knowing how to build a platform and the messaging and how to get my thoughts out there to the general public so that it's digestible and everybody understands where I'm coming from. I said, you know what? Why not me? Why not be the change that I want to see? And it all started again with, me being facetious and posting the video on my regular account about potentially running for governor if another candidate jumped in that was particularly not well liked here in Florida. And I got so many responses like, yeah, you should do it, you'd be great. I'm like, all right, man, let me see what this is actually talking about. I say, all right, fine, if this guy decides he's going to run for governor, I will do what I can. I will absolutely step into the race, just again being facetious. And he actually stepped into the race and said he's going to run for governor. And Kevin, as first responders, we have to be men of our word. So
Yeah.
I told people, all right, well, I signed up what I needed to do, and that was back in April, man, and here we are today, brother. I couldn't have told you back in April that this side of my life would be is almost as popular, if not more popular, than the other side of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it's two different audiences. People just like, oh, all your people just migrated from one platform to over here. And I'm like, no, if you look at the data and the breakdown of my audiences for my firefighter stuff, it's basically 70% male to 30% female.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the Congressional page, it's the opposite. It's like 68% female and
Yeah.
30% male. So two completely different
Yeah.
audiences, and to have built both those platforms up to be able to speak to those different audiences is a testament to being able to talk to and get the message to as many people as possible that need to hear it.
I think one of the things that you're really good at is explaining things in kind of layman's terms. So explaining us how a bid for Congress works and what seat are you going for? Is it state? Is it national? Like how does that play out?
So we're running for a U.S. congressional seat, so House of Representatives in the federal government, here in Florida Congressional District 21, which covers the southeastern portion of Florida, area known as the Treasure Coast. Basically, anyone can run to be a representative. All you need is to make sure that you fill out all the necessary paperwork, that you qualify, you meet the qualifications, which is basically you got to be at least 25 years old and have a pulse. You can run for Congress. That is about it, man. That is all they are required. You have a pulse and you're above 25, you can run for Congress. So there are some things that I've learned in this process. Like for one, in order to get your name on the ballot, you have to do one of two things. You have to either get enough petitions signed or you have to pay a filing fee. The filing fee here in Florida is almost $11,000, which is why you don't see a lot of people like yourself and myself running
That's
for
right.
Congress, because
That's
I
right.
don't know about you, I ain't got $11,000 to write my name down on nothing.
No.
Yeah, it is an impediment to make sure people from these blue collar working class lives that actually, are in the community and seeing these impacts and are affected by these decisions. It is a barrier to make sure that we don't run for these seats, man. Because anybody who sees $11,000 to try to run for something, they don't even go to the next step. They just get stopped right there. And if you don't want to do the filing fee, then you have to get petitions signed, and you need about 5,200 petitions signed, which means you got to get 10,000 petitions signed, because any error and they throw it away. So you can't get the exact number because they're probably going to discount at least 1,000 of them, and you won't have enough to meet the qualifications. So it is, and I don't know if you ever try to get a petition signed, but 5,200 people might not seem like a lot, but okay,
No,
try
it
to
seems
apply.
like an awful
So,
lot.
Yeah,
do
that
they
is a
have to
lot of
be
people.
do they have to be in your state,
They
Bernard?
have to be in my district. Yep, you have to get the voters in your
Wow.
district to sign on that
So
petition. So
your
you got to get out.
following
Yeah, you got
is
to
only
get
a
out
small
here.
amount of that.
You got to get out here in the community and try to stop people as they picking up their groceries. Hey, you want to sign this? And they, how people are. I ain't got
Uh-huh.
time for you right now. I got to get home and all this other stuff. So luckily, we're fortunate enough that we've had enough support from building these platforms on social media, that we had enough donations, that we have our filing fee. So our name will be on the ballot, guaranteed. And the fact that I have that much support that poured out to me behind this campaign is truly amazing in my eyes. In a political spectrum, it's not a lot of money raised, but we raised almost $40,000 from between April and now. In a political spectrum, that's like peanuts. But for somebody like you and myself and Michaela, you told
Mhm.
me you made you got people to give you 40 grand off the strength of
Yeah.
your word. That is truly amazing. I don't know how. There's preachers in America that can't get people to give
Mhm.
$1,000, and they
That's
talking
right.
about Jesus.
But that's just a testament. I think that's just a testament for people that really, see the value in what you're doing and they want a strong leader. So I just feel like that's just a testament to, your following and, what you bring to the
Yeah,
table.
well,
So, Bernard, you're a big family guy, right? Full
absolutely.
time firefighter,
Clearly.
full time content creation, which honestly is a job in its own. I don't know how you do it. So, how do you juggle all of this with like your mental health, burnout, things like that?
Lord, I think again, just trying to stay as positive as possible, trying to stay occupied and keeping my mind focused on the things that it needs to focus on. When I'm at work, I'm focused on what I need to do. I'm training my mind. I'm always, going over protocols, going over what I need to know on the truck, always, practicing and questioning myself and putting myself in different scenarios to keep my mind sharp. And when I'm home, I'm home. I don't bring work home. When I'm home, I try to
Mm.
give my attention to my wife and my children. I go to the gym every day to keep myself in a good physical shape. And again, I try to do my content creation while my wife's at work, so I don't take away time from her. And I try to balance it all out, man. It's about having the good. Come on, Ace, you've been doing so good. It's about having that it's about having that good work life balance, man. A lot of people, they become overwhelmed with one or the other, whether it's work or whether it's life. A lot of the young guys, man, this is our career. It's not your life. Don't make this job
Mhm.
your life. Those are the people who struggle with burnout. Those are the people who struggle with the daily day grind. Those are the people who get, frustrated when, you've had you 5, 10 years in, and this is your third toe pain at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you still trying to keep, a positive attitude and keep that patient etiquette up. But we
Mhm.
we know we've been on cruise and we've been with people to where that patient etiquette at a certain time, it's really good in the beginning of your career. About
Mhm.
10, 15 years in, and you don't had about
You
13,
done had
14
enough.
calls through the day. And you got to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody, I've been feeling bad since yesterday morning. I decided to call you at 3 in the morning right now. I can't take it no more. This is the exact time I can't take it no more. Take me over to the hospital. So,
I got real bad at one point in my career of going,
yeah.
okay, so what changed at 3 in the morning if
Yeah,
this has been going
no.
on for 3
What's
Yeah,
the
days?
buddy.
emergency?
It's like literally. So what about 2:27 that
Uh-huh.
changed from 8 o'clock this morning when you could have called me to 2:27 in the middle of the night? So it is very important to keep yourself mentally and physically in great health, man, because you don't want the patient to suffer because of your state of mind and your state of well-being, because that's how accidents and things happen. That's how your career gets put in jeopardy. That's how someone's life gets put in jeopardy. And that's kind of how I look at it, man. Now, even with the smallest calls, man, you just never know what could happen. And
Mhm.
I've seen small, insignificant things turn into full blown codes by the time we get to the emergency room. So it's literally just always keeping yourself in the right frame of mind and knowing that, hey, I signed up for this. Nobody's making me do this. Ain't nobody holding the gun in your head saying you got to do this.
Mhm.
This is something that you're choosing to do, and this is how you're choosing to have your career. So go into it with the right mindset. Do your 24 hours and get home so you can get ready for the next 24 hours.
Were you gonna say anything,
I
Kevin?
I was gonna start
I was
to.
gonna
So
say something funny.
what
So
you got?
if they think that what EMS says to them or firefighters say to them is bad, wait till they get to the hospital. The ER nurses are ruthless.
They are ruthless, some
Ruthless.
of them, for sure.
And
I
then when you go
believe
to
it.
give them a report and you roll in the door, they're hounding you. Why are you bringing us this patient at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I'm like, I
Yep.
didn't, I didn't say, hey, what'd be a great idea? Let's wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to the
Yeah.
hospital. Trust me, we do not say that at all.
And I told a nurse one time, I said, she said, "Why'd you bring this patient here?" I said, "Well, y'all forgot to turn the ER light off." And I just saw it glowing and couldn't stand it.
It's like a Krispy Kreme donut sign. When
Yeah,
they see that fresh
yeah.
hot, man, you just
You
get
gotta
wired to it.
stop.
We got the cellulitis on deck at 3 o'clock in the morning, fresh and
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah, that's right. So Bernard, how has the campaign trail been? Have you experienced the rough go of it that you hear from other politicians that kind of sling mud, if you will?
No, man, I haven't had not one negative interaction in the whole time I've been out here. Again, I go everywhere, man. I'm talking with people from all different backgrounds,
Mhm.
from every spectrum on the political aisle, and it's all the same thing, man. We're all suffering. We're all dealing with this housing crisis here in Florida. I have guys in the department, the younger guys that we speak to, man, and it's sad that they don't never believe that they'll be able to buy a home here. A lot of us don't even live in the county that we work because we just can't afford to. We got to drive an hour, hour and a half just to get to work from other places that we can almost barely afford to live in. And it is frustrating, and that is the focus, and what should be the focus of the people in charge, man, is to help us continue to make our lives better so we can continue to be the foundation of this country, the working class and the people down here at the bottom that do the dirty jobs and the things that most people do not want to do in order to make this place continue to function the way it does. So when I'm out there and I'm talking with people and I'm relaying this message and I'm listening to their concerns, it's all the same thing, man. We don't have time to be worried about the extracurriculars when the light bill just went up another $100. You know what I'm saying? And my salary didn't. The mortgage keeps going up, or the rent prices keep going up, and again, the paycheck continues to get smaller and smaller, and it is unfortunate. Again, we just feel like there's not enough people focusing on the right things. They keep us divided. They keep us talking about nonsensical things on the left and the right in order to continue stealing from us, in order to continue not to solve the problems. They keep us fighting with one another so they can continue to do what they do at the top, which is, get wealthy, get richer, and continue to stack their money while we're at the bottom fighting for crumbs. And I think it's time for all the ants to actually wake up and take control from the grasshoppers, man. I hate that Disney movies been trying to tell us these life lessons, and we grow up and we forget them.
Huh? That's
I
right.
talked about that in my podcast. I
Yeah.
was like, there's a lot of ants in the healthcare organization, as you know, EMS, firefighters. There's a lot of us ants, but without the ants, the mound does not operate. You know, if there's only one section of that plays a piece in the whole cooperative, then it's not going to work. Because honestly, the nurses rely on the EMT providers. We're not going to go out there and get our own patients. Are you crazy? The
No.
firefighters, rely on police to keep the scene safe.
Absolutely,
I
because if
mean,
you
we
think I'm
rely
finna
on
go
each other.
drag you out from an MCI and
Mm-mm.
I hear some shots fired, you are out of your mind. PD,
I'm
Back on
gone.
the
not
truck.
safe. Not safe.
Yeah.
Hey, man, take this bandage and put some pressure till PD get here. I can't do nothing for you right now. I got to get home to my babies.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's crazy because a lot of lay people that, see our jobs, they don't really realize, especially in impoverished communities. Like we talked about this a little bit before the podcast. I'm from Mississippi. You're from Florida. Where there's poverty, there's just more crime. Can you talk about a little bit about that, like what you've seen in your own community is like related to that, like poverty, crime, like low education? I think those are kind of the things I was reading that you were like
Yeah.
really, you know, that you were really encouraged with running for Congress.
Yeah, because that's the thing. So there's a community in my department. It's called Belglade, Florida. It is it is directly 1 hour west of Mar-a-Lago. Belglade, Florida is the poorest city in the country. In the country. An hour east of that by the beach is a man who sits on a golden toilet.
Mm-hmm.
How it doesn't add up to me. I'm like getting very pragmatic. There's a guy who sits on the golden toilet 60 miles east, and on the 60 miles west, there are people who have to share a bucket to use the bathroom and a
Mm.
dilapidated apartment building that they have to pay $1,600 a month for. That doesn't seem right to me. That don't sit well in my spirit and my humanity. And to know that he could help everyone in that city and not impact his wealth at all, but doesn't have the humanity or the decency to do it. because it's all about me, me, me. I got to get as much as I can, as much as I can. And it's not just him. It's everyone up there trying to become the first trillionaire. They're so focused on trying to become the first trillionaire and enriching themselves and their egos that we all at the bottom, again, our healthcare is going to suffer. Our the people that need supplemental nutritional assistance programs are going to suffer. The people who just need help with housing to get back on their feet are going to suffer. And they don't care. They do not care. I don't have the luxury of not caring because I every 3 days I got to go see this. These are not numbers on a piece of paper for me. These are not numbers on a piece of paper for you guys. We are
Mhm.
seeing these people on a daily basis, the lives that they're living, and the impacts of these the legislation and policy that impacts their lives. And yeah, we can get people to the hospital, we can get them stabilized, but we're sending them right back to the situation that's going to get them right back to the hospital. Because it's
Mhm.
not just about the crime that poverty leads to. Because again, we know the most impoverished areas, a lot of crime comes from the fact that people can't eat. A lot of people commit crime just because they don't have enough money to eat.
Mhm.
And if you solve these problems, you would impact crime tremendously. You would cut crime almost in half in certain places. But the fact that they don't want to solve these problems, because again, everything revolves around money. And what I mean is, you can't solve crime if you have a for profit prison industry in your country.
Mhm.
If crime gets solved, profits go down for the for profit prison. So if the for profit prisons are the ones that donate to my campaign and keep me in power, I'm not going to solve their pipeline for labor and to make them richer. I tell people all the time, when problems don't get solved and you feel like your politicians are not solving the problems, just follow the money and you will understand why that problem will not be solved in your community. If you have had crime in your community for 20 years and it hasn't been solved by legislation from whoever's in office, I guarantee you there's a for-profit prison somewhere close by that donates to the people in your constituency, in your campaign that are running for you. And it's the same with healthcare. The reason why we don't have a universal single payer healthcare system in this country, like most developed nations, is because we have a for profit healthcare industry. You can't go to a universal single payer system when you have a bunch of people who profit from us having
Mhm.
healthcare, from us being on these high premiums and these insurance plans that we are either in network for or out of network for, or have to pay a copay or a co-insurance on top of, and still get told, yeah, you're not covered. It always comes back to money. I know if I can see it with my Florida public school education, a lot of other people can see these things as well. And
Sure.
I think there needs to be more people like us that are going into these spaces, that are going into legislation, that are actually going to fight for the things that affect us down here at the bottom, and not necessarily worrying about putting more money back into these people's pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bernard, to add to that, it's like, you know, public school education in Mississippi, I mean, it's not the level it could be, in some other states. I'm sure Florida is the same. A lot of people who are having kids nowadays, they're putting their children in private school or charter schools. And that's an added cost just because people are so desperate for a good education and a different outcome for their children. You have young children. Can you talk about that, like the school system and how that leads to some systemic things that are going on that we're seeing nowadays?
Absolutely. So education leads to critical thinking. When people are able to critically think, they can see the things that we're seeing and see how we're taking advantage of, and see how we're always at the bottom, and we can't seem to quote unquote pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. And they continue to defund education with the Department of Education getting rid of the special needs section. And I try to explain this to people that, I understand the prospect of limited government and small government, but what you got to understand is when these departments were first put into place, implemented, it's because these states needed oversight. Why did these states need oversight? Because the funding that they were getting for education, they wouldn't allocate to the educational systems in their state.
Mhm.
For example, a lot of these red states, we know they operate at a budget shortfall. Very few of them are prosperous. If we were all individual countries, 75% of us would be broke as countries because we just don't generate enough income as a state. So when this money comes in and you don't have that oversight, Yeah, the federal government saying, here's your education allowance. That money gets to your state legislature, and they say, oh, this is cool. Yeah, we're not going to use this for education. We got to make up for our shortfall over here. So that money that was supposed to go to education goes to somewhere else to help balance the state's budget. And who suffers because of that? Our children. Who suffers because of that? My son, who's autistic, who depends on an IEP program. And that is funded through the federal government. That's supposed to come down to the state. And the state is supposed to put those programs in place to make sure children like my son have the resources that they need in school. And we've already seen my son was on a scholarship program called the Step Up program that was funded by the state of Florida. His last semester in school before he got back into the public school system, which was over the summer, that last month of scholarship money never came. It never came to the school, and me and my wife had to pay for that out of our pocket. We didn't have enough $2,600 to come up, $2,600 to spend on something that was supposed to be covered through that program that was funded by our government. But again, because no oversight, they took that money and said, "Oh, you don't need that. We're gonna put that towards something else." And my child suffered. Now, thank God, some overtime became available. I just had to go put them hours in to make sure we can cover that. But at the same time, I'm fortunate, and I know that I'm fortunate. A lot of people aren't fortunate, and that's who I continue to fight for. I didn't get to where I was and forget that I know what it's like to be less fortunate. Yeah, a lot of these things that don't affect me now because I'm in a better place in life, but they still affect my family members that I have and friends that I have in the community. And again, those people that I serve every day, I still see the suffering. I still see the children out here and how they have to live. And I don't never want nobody to live like that. We're the richest country in the world, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to take care of every person here.
So
Yeah,
let's
and
go
go
ahead,
ahead, Kevin.
Mikhail.
Well, I was just going to say one thing. This topic really gets me fired up.
It does.
Education is one thing
Yeah.
that, like, I could sit here and go on a tangent about because
Stand.
that's you, Kevin.
That's my watch.
So one thing that really just burns my bottom is that we need
Mississippi right there.
EMTs.
That's
Yeah,
Mississippi. That's what I was supposed to say.
we need more EMTs. We need more firefighters, and we need more nurses. And there are plenty of young adults that are coming up right now, this next generation, that could do these jobs, but they're not glamorized. And the education for these jobs is outstanding. It's crazy expensive. I mean, I was very lucky. I went to nursing school at a community college on a scholarship. So, and my parents paid for over the amount that was required from the school and the scholarship. So
Yeah.
I was very lucky. People who come from Mississippi who are raised by a single mom, who have to take out loans to go to nursing school to go to help us, and we're in a critical staffing shortage for nurses all around the country. One of the hospitals that I'm at right now is importing nurses from other countries, and then they work for 3 years and they get a visa or they get a dual citizenship, you know? And I'm like, we have enough nurses. I love those nurses. There's nothing against those nurses. But we have enough people here to do
Absolutely.
those jobs if the government would step in and give some financial assistance or some payback loans for EMTs, firefighters, police, nurses.
Well, there's no reason why, again, we can't have universal college here in this country. Like other developed nations have these things that don't have as nearly the resources we have.
Yep.
Again, they keep us down here arguing over nonsense, not realizing the things we need to be talking about, the things that we should have that other countries who don't have our resources have is crazy to me. Like it's literally like the richest country in the world, and we have. I tell people all the time, you ain't never heard another country say, "I want to have that same healthcare program America has." You can't find one country on the face of this earth that says we should imitate the American healthcare system because they know it's not. They know it's terrible. All these systems that we have in place right now, nobody else wants to emulate, and it's a reason for that because they are terrible. They don't work. But again, they keep us divided, arguing amongst each other, and they continue to put profits in their pocket. And there's no reason why, again, we have enough people here to become nurses, to become electricians, to become plumbers, to become all these different hands-on jobs that we have in shortages of. We're going to be short so many plumbers and electricians and HVAC technicians over the next 5 to 10 years. It is truly eye-opening how many people, especially younger people, that don't know how to do basic things with their hands
Mm-hmm.
because they're just not encouraged to. Like I said, it's not glamorized. Even the young kids that come in our department now, and I'm sure Kevin can attest to this too. Like, we got to teach them a small engines course, like about like how to
Mm-hmm.
start saws and things of that nature. I started my first chainsaw when I was 6.
Yeah.
I got to teach 22-year-old man how, the difference between regular oil and mixed oil. Like, mixed gas. Like, why am I teaching you now regular gas and mixed gas
Uh-huh.
and 2-cycle and 4-cycle? And again, it's just those things aren't glamorized. And like you said, paramedic school, the one I went to get my paramedic license, that was, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. It was $9,000 2 or 3 years ago. And now it is $13,000 to get your paramedic license for a year's school. And you
Most
wonder
people
why
can't do that.
yeah, like who $13,000? That is
For a
crazy.
20-year-old, for a 19, 20-year-old.
And
It's
if
crazy.
you're like,
But what
and
do
if
they
you-
push? But what do they push? A 4-year big school degree. And most of those people get out and don't have a job.
And then I think another thing too, we have to, and I know that it's very hard because everywhere is different, but there has to be like a way to compensate everybody fairly in our industry. Like I say, what I get compensated here in Florida is great in certain areas of Florida, and other areas of Florida is not so great. And it's the same across the country. You have places in this country like California and New York who you can mess around and start off with a 6-figure salary as a first responder. And then you go into flyover country in the middle of the country, and they're all volunteer departments. They can't even afford to have a career fire service. And that's where a lot of the ambulance deserts are. That's where a lot of the first responder deserts are. And that's where a lot of unfortunate things happen because they just don't have the resources to have the services that they need. And I think that there's definitely something that should be done to make sure that there are resources for all of us all across the country, no matter where you are, and to make sure that the people who do take on these tasks, who will get called heroes. I know I get tired of being called a hero and not
Mhm.
really seeing you guys compensate most of these people for the things that they're doing, whether you're talking about nurses or teachers or first responders, like all this, we get these weeks and we get these hand claps and things of that nature. But when it comes to actual resources and things we need in order to do our jobs effectively and to be able to live out here in these streets, it's a whole different conversation then. Yeah, we're heroes in the public eye, but when we get behind these scenes and do these negotiations, that hero stuff go right out the water.
Mhm.
Say, if you ever been a part of a collective bargaining negotiation with the city or the county, you find out how much of a hero you are.
Mhm.
And then they expect this great top-notch care, this, gold star standard care. And the paramedics and the CNAs at the hospital, or the LNAs, whatever, techs, they make $13 an hour.
I can go
And
start.
then
I can go start at McDonald's right now
McDonald's.
here in Florida for 14
Mhm.
an hour,
Mhm.
flipping
Yes.
burgers, and not have to deal with that trauma.
And not flipping memos.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That should be a t-shirt. Flipping burgers, not memos.
There you go. Put it on the
For more
t-shirt.
money. For more money.
Yeah. So Bernard, let's blend the two subjects for a minute. So I think one of the big gaps that we have in not just our community, but in the healthcare community as a whole is we lack the resources for mental health. And I've heard you talk about this numerous times on your platform. So tell me your take on mental health in the first responder community and how we can bridge the gap of having that mental health for us, but also for the general public, because we also have a huge gap there where people are just not taken care of appropriately. And we see that on the ambulance every day that we have a psychiatric call that has just not been cared for and managed appropriately.
It's about making sure the legislation matches the words. Anytime they start talking about anything happening in this country that let's to just bring up, school shootings. They're always talking about the mental health aspect, the mental health aspect. We gotta work on the mental health in this country. But anytime legislation comes forth, they're cutting mental health budgets everywhere. They're cutting the funding for these programs that they say we need. So it's literally about making the legislative action match the words that you guys get on TV and you think that the public wants to hear. People are starting to wake up and starting to realize that a lot of this stuff is just talk. Like when you actually go look at the legislation that gets proposed and the bills that get passed, whether that's local, state, or federal, look at the funding bills and it's like, wait, we had this budget. Why is this budget being cut? And you say you want to help with the mental health aspect, whether that be for first responders, whether that be for our veterans. You know, I got a VA down here in my district, and I guarantee you I'll run on the same 5, 6 people every month because they can't get nobody on the phone because you cut the budget to the mental health line in the Veterans Affairs, but you say you care about the veterans. But your legislation doesn't prove that you care about the veterans. And now again, they don't have the resources that they need to call someone when they need to, so they call us here on the ambulance to get them over to the VA. So now I got to keep that person stable and make sure their mental health is good from the time I pick them up to the time they get to the hospital. And then the nurses at the hospital kind of do what they can, but it's only so much you can do in the ER. Our job is just to stabilize and then send you on your way. There's really not much I could do for you as far as like dealing with your demons and the things that you need to get conquered. So we need to stop letting these people just tell us what they think we want to hear and just say your legislation does not show that you are actually believing and walking like you're talking, because you're still cutting this funding for people. You're not giving us
Mhm.
the resources we need out here, and people are out here literally taking their lives and doing all kind of things. Like my first year in the department had a guy come to the station in the bunk room between two of his fellow crew members and take his own life in between the two of them. And he was begging for help and couldn't get it.
And that's the story we hear told over and over again. And that's the sad part, is that we have the legislative action that doesn't match the words, because they give us this beautiful lip service and then nothing happens. And then
Yeah,
nothing
it's
happens.
it's it's unfortunate, man, because again, you say one thing, you get out here and you try to shower us with all these platitudes, but then when we get, I was like, all right, how much money you finna give us for these resources you've been telling us? And then you looked at, it's like, wait a minute, what's this? It's like, yeah, well, this is you don't need that much. Like, well, but that's not what you're saying. That's not what you out here portraying on television. You know, it's the same thing with the 9/11 situation, the 9/11 fund. Like these guys got to go to Congress every 2 years and fight for this funding for their health care to deal with the things and reminiscences of the effects that they've had from when the towers went down. And again, every September 11th, we have all these posts and, you know, never forget, never forget. But then when it's legislation times, hey, you still gonna fund this health care for the cancer that I got from working on that scene? Oh, well, you know, we've been doing it for like 20 years now. We think you're all right now. You should be good. It's like, no,
Mhm.
that's not how this works, man.
Yeah, and a lot of healthcare agencies, like, we're paying for our benefits. Like, that is a perk of working on a job is we're paying for
Mhm.
these benefits. And I don't know about at your station, Kevin, I know for sure, not for you either, but there's not a sign saying there's a free therapist available for, healthcare workers at our hospital, have this link, call this link. That does not exist.
No, there's no
So,
sign. There's no sign.
no.
We are told like you can always call the EAP and you get like a little card and everything, but it's you know how that goes, Kevin. It's like
Mhm.
it's the stigma with it. It's like, okay, even though it's supposed to be confidential, you know, ain't nothing ever confidential in the fire service. You go do your EAP, you know, you try to do the close behind the door scene. A week later, somebody's at your station. Hey man, what you going to do the EAP for?
Yeah.
You ain't supposed to know I went to the
Yeah,
EAP.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You ain't supposed to know I went.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're talking about legislature, I mean, we pay for these benefits. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of healthcare reform. I'm hoping with leaders like you that stand up for what's right in our country. And, the lowest man on the totem pole needs representation too. And I really hope that jobs like nurses, EMT, firefighter, police officers, they get free therapy as part of their benefits. A lot of places will offer therapy as part of your benefits, but then when you go to the therapist, they're still asking for money. It only covers so much from your insurance. It's not free. And with the
And these
stuff that we see, we talked about this, Kevin, on our podcast. You read a statistic. It was like the normal layperson will see how
Four
many
to
traumatic things?
4 to 5 traumatic events in their life of a 70-year-old person. And then the average first responder that has a 20-year plus career will see over 600 traumatic events in their career.
I say working for a city department, that's one day, 4 to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one day for a city department. You're right.
In the coming years, there's going to be a lot more legislation
Yeah.
around and reform around like therapy and mental health disorders in healthcare, in the field, and first responders.
It needs
Well,
to be it also needs to be independent from your if you work for a company, if you work for a county, work for anything, it needs to be independent from your organization because when you have those providers that are still attached to the people that you work for, they still have obligations and yeah, they say they're not going to report it to it, but we know how that stuff goes, man.
Bernard, I'm very interested in something. Hearing you talk, you're a very sharp guy. You're very intelligent. You seem like you got, I don't know whether you do or not, but you seem like you got your ducks all in a row. And it seems like you have a heart of service somewhere buried underneath that very large peck that I've seen a few times that you. um, Michaela, don't embarrass yourself in front of this extremely fit man, please.
I saw his Instagram. It speaks for itself, okay?
Yeah, it does. Um, but I really listening to you talk. You have a heart for people. You have a heart for service. Beyond the fire service, where did that come from?
It's my mother, man, to be honest with you. She raised 5 children on a Winn-Dixie grocery salary of $23,000 a year
Wow.
and didn't complain, didn't make excuses. She got up every day, she went to work, she made sure we was all ready to go to school, and she still made time to go to church every Sunday and volunteer in the community. And even if she didn't have it, even if we didn't have it, if she saw somebody in need, she would always help any way that she could. And literally just watching her growing up and watching her sacrifice, watching her raise her brothers and sisters because she is the oldest of 8 and her first sibling was born when she was 2 years old. So she's been giving back since she was 2 and my mom will be 56 this year. So just watching that example growing up, it taught me that to always put people first, man, and always to have that heart of service and always look out for those who can't look out for themselves, man, because it's a lot of people that just go on about their daily lives. And if it doesn't affect them, it doesn't affect them. And I wish I could, man. Some days I just wish I didn't have this empathy and this heart of
I
gold,
know.
but
I know.
I can't, man. It literally, I can't sleep. It doesn't sit well with me knowing that there are people out there struggling the way that they are and I could potentially do something to help.
Yeah, and I think you're well on the way to doing something. I mean, just having a conversation with us is definitely one notch for sure in that direction. And I think you're looking down the barrel of success. I think it's right on the cusp. I think you are
Hoping.
going in the right direction because people will see. And I've watched all your stuff for a while, and people see that. People see the genuine heart. People see the heart of service. I know that comes through. I don't know if you're running campaign ads, but if you do that, I know that will come through those as well. And getting out in the community, people see who you are, and that means a lot because the politicians today, as we've talked about, don't have that. Excuse me.
No, man.
Yeah,
And Bernard also too, like, I think that, you're a man of God, and I feel like God has opened up a lot of doors for you. I
Absolutely.
saw that you just did a commercial for a game.
Yeah, man, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, man, please make sure you go try out Firefighter Ignite. It is a full fire simulation game. You get
that's
to see what
cool.
it's like to be a
It's cool.
firefighter. The tones drop. You got to get bunked out. You got to get on the truck. You got to go to the fire. It gives you real fire conditions, all that stuff, man. You got to go check it out, man. But yeah, definitely just another opportunity and another way that, doors have opened for me that I didn't think were possible, but to be honest with you, man. And like I said, if somebody was to told me, 5, 6 years ago, I'd be where I am today, I wouldn't believe it. So I'm always, thankful and very humbled. And again, keeping these ties to knowing where I've come from and knowing the things that I need to do and knowing the people that depend on me keeps me grounded. And I don't ever want to not be grounded. The moment I start to think I can fly, I call my mom so she could pull me right back down to earth.
Yeah, mamas have a way of doing that.
And I have a love-hate relationship with social media. But I will say, I feel like youth today, you have to meet them where they are and they're on social media. And so I'm so proud that like Salty Paramedic, we interviewed him on this podcast.
Good dude, man. Good dude.
Good
Such a
dude,
good
yeah.
dude. I feel like, it is funny, but like even through the funniness, you see the realness of what our job entails.
Mhm.
And the new generation needs that because they're on TikTok, scrolling TikTok for hours. Any educational people that are content creators that we can put out that are like
Absolutely.
teaching them about being a nurse, about being a paramedic, about being a firefighter, and coming out with a game. I think that's a great idea
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we have to meet them where they are. A lot of times parents don't even have the resources. Job fairs are great for young kids. Like you go
Yeah.
out and see the fire truck, you see the helicopter that brings people in, that's great. But sometimes families who have a single income and a mom that works single income can't even go to those things. So even a game, I know it may seem like that's just silly, but that is meeting the next generation where they are. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Speaking of meeting the next generation, I got to go pick up my next generation.
Yes, get your
School's
next
about to get
generation.
out, so
I've
Before
enjoyed this so much.
Yes, me too. Before you go, give us the shameless plug of where we can find all
absolutely,
all the things
absolutely.
Bernard Taylor.
Well, first and foremost, guys, thank you for the opportunity to come on your platform
Absolutely.
and speak with your audience. If you guys ever want me to come back, all you got to do is reach out, man. Say the word, I'm there. When I win, speaking into existence. Don't think I'm too
That's
big to
right.
come back and come hang out with you guys, man. Absolutely. For you guys who are listening, my name is Bernard Taylor. I am running for Congress here in Florida, Congressional District 21, which covers St. Lucie County, Martin County, and North Palm Beach County. You can go to my website, bernardtaylorforcongress.org, to contribute to the campaign and also volunteer for the campaign. You don't have to live in my community, in my district, in order to contribute or volunteer to help get the word out. But above all else, I'm a firefighter, a paramedic, EMT, first responder. I'm a public servant. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a son. And those things are above any and all things that I'm trying to do while running for this office. Again, I'm just a regular person trying to make change for us regular people down here. Don't ever think that. I know politicians make promises. I don't make promises, but I can tell you this, like, I'm always be me. And I will never compromise who I am for anything or anyone. The moment I feel like I have to compromise, I'm right back on that fire truck. Because I would much rather go out here and keep my integrity than do the things that you need to do in order to stay in power. So that is my shameless plug. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Finna go and do daddy duties now.
I hear you. Well, thanks so much, Bernard.
Appreciate you guys.
And guys, if you're listening, as always, be safe, take care of your mind, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to A Silent War Within. If this episode resonated, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, you're not alone and your well-being matters. It's time to end this silent war.